WDEV at radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We've got a full show tonight. We're on for all 90 minutes. We're right up until 7 o'clock, and then immediately we give way to Red Sox baseball. Sox take on the Texas Rangers today. Look, this series has big implications when it comes to the playoffs, right? The Rangers are battling for a wild card spot. They're also battling for the division. Rangers losing can make it better for Toronto, can make it better for Seattle. Rangers winning this is a massive series. So the Red Sox just took it on the chin this weekend against Toronto. That series had big implications. This one also has big implications. We will talk about the Red Sox and their future in the firing of Chaim Bloom at about 6:30 with Tyler Miliken of 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. He's also part of the Name Redacted podcast with Jared Carrabis, one of the foremost Red Sox insiders out there in the blogosphere and in the internet podcast sphere. So we're going to get Tyler Miliken on at about 6:30. We're also going to talk a lot about the Patriots, who are now 0-2 and staring at a massive uphill battle this season. We'll do that all show long. We'll take your texts all show long as well at 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Danny is here. I am here. You are here. Lego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Happy 65th birthday, by the way, to one of our great listeners and our great texters, Glenn in Brookfield. Happy 65th birthday today. Let's get to the Pats. You know, we need to come to grips with this. We as a fan base need to come to grips with this. And I've known it in my mind. I've basically said this many times before, but I just need to finally say it once and for all. And we need to come to grips with reality. These New England Patriots are not the New England Patriots of old. It's that simple. I've said it before. I've hinted at it. I've beaten around the bush at it. I've implied it. I've drawn that conclusion, but I'm saying it out loud for me and for you. The New England Patriots today are not the New England Patriots of old. Now, look, I picked the Patriots to win yesterday. I sat here on Friday, and Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston picked the Patriots to win. I picked the Patriots to win. I think I picked the Patriots to win 27-23. So I picked the Pats to win. I was wrong. But I don't know if on Friday, when I was giving you my prediction, I don't know if I really thought the Patriots were better. I don't know if I really thought the Patriots could overcome the injuries they had, the John Jones injury, the offensive line injuries. I don't know if I thought they could overcome that. But I also couldn't bring myself to pick against them. I couldn't bring myself to think that the Patriots would go 0-2 because the Pats haven't been 0-2 since 2001. I couldn't bring myself to think that the Patriots would lose in prime time at home because the Patriots don't typically do that. Yes, they've lost at home in prime time before, but it's not something that I have expected over the last 25 years. I couldn't bring myself to think about the Patriots getting beat at home in 2 consecutive games to start a season because that doesn't happen to the New England Patriots. The Patriots that I know defend home turf. I couldn't bring myself to think about a Miami Dolphins team that is supposed to be flashy and therefore soft. I couldn't think about that team coming into Foxborough after having zigzagged all around the country and having just played in LA. I couldn't think about that team being 2-0 and winning both of those games. Treacherous travel for the Dolphins. Miami, Los Angeles, Foxborough in 2 weeks. I couldn't think of a world in which the Dolphins go 2-0 doing that. I could not bring myself to pick against the Patriots. I have told you for weeks that I think the Patriots are not a great football team. I have told you for weeks all their deficiencies. I have told you for weeks that they're average. I have told you for weeks I'm predicting them to win 8 games. I know it in my head. I know it in my heart. But when it came time to pick against them, I couldn't do it. We and I need to come to grips that the New England Patriots are not the Patriots of old, because the Patriots of old don't go 0-2. The Patriots of old don't lose at home. The Patriots of old don't lose at home in prime time. The Patriots of old don't lose at home back-to-back games to start a season. The Patriots of old don't let the Miami Dolphins come to Foxborough and win. The Patriots of old would lose in Miami in December, but the Patriots of old do not let the Dolphins come into their home turf and roll them around the field for 3+ quarters. That didn't happen in the past. But you know what? I need to come to grips with it. This is not the past. This is not the Patriots of old. This is who they are. You know what they are? They're just like most other teams in the NFL. You can't just expect things to happen. Okay? I used to expect Tom Brady to carry the Patriots to victory. I used to expect Tom Brady to lead the fourth quarter comeback. I used to expect Tom Brady to score with 2 minutes left in the half, and then on the other side of the halftime break as well. I grew for that to be customary. Just like now I expect Patrick Mahomes to do that. We can't expect things from the New England Patriots anymore. And we all need to come to terms with that. We'll all be much better fans, and I will be a better host if we come to realize that. We can't expect the greatness of old. Great might happen, but it can't be an expectation anymore. It can't just be, oh, they'll win because they're the Patriots. Oh, they'll win because they've always won those kind of games. These, excuse me, these are, I'm choking, I'm so angry here. These are not those Patriots. You look around the league, with the exception of a very few teams in the NFL and a very few players, you can't just pencil things in. You can't just pencil results in. For 20 years, with the Patriots, we could do that. We can't do that anymore. 802-585-3026. That's the text line. Milo in North Troy. The Patriots have returned to the Pats pre-Tom Brady. Our glory days are over. The glory days are over. And they've been over. And I've said it, and I've said it out loud, and I've said it in a lot of different ways, but I haven't really fully wanted to commit to it. You got to commit to it now. Joe says, we suck flat out. This season is going to be the season where we have one big turnover early, and we have to dig ourselves out the rest of the game. We can't do it all year. It's not going to end well. If nothing else, though, the classic uniforms are awesome. That comes from Travis. Yeah, it's appropriate the Patriots were wearing them, too, because that's how the Patriots played when they were in those uniforms all those years ago. Another texter says, I said 8 wins for us at the start, but 7 is more like it. We can't keep having turnovers and the big one that lead to points on the other side. The Patriots are an average football team. This is the reality of the situation, right? Let's step back. Let's not look at it how they used to be. Let's not look at it how we want them to be. This is the reality of the situation. You are 0-2. I don't remember what the year was or like what the cutoff was, but I want to say since 1990, only 3 teams that have ever started 0-2 have won the Super Bowl. Now, the Patriots were never going to win the Super Bowl, but like that's what you're up against. Going 0-2 is historically means you're in for not the season that you want. The 07 Giants did it. The 01 Patriots and the 93 Cowboys, I think, were the teams that started 0-2 and won the Super Bowl. That's the list. The Patriots weren't doing it before. They're really not doing it now. You're 0-2. You're in last place in your division. You're 0-2. You've lost 2 games at home. You forfeited 2 chances in front of your home fans. You have the hardest schedule in the NFL, and you are much closer to the 8 wins that I predicted than you are to the playoff team that everybody wanted you to be. Now, luckily for you, you have the Jets coming up, and you have Zach Wilson coming up, and I do believe the Patriots will win, but that will not mean that the Patriots have righted the ship. That will mean the Patriots have played a quarterback who is not very good. And you have to take advantage of those opportunities. So I believe the Patriots will beat the Jets. I believe they can be 1-2, and they could be kind of fringy interesting for a bit, but they are 0-2, and they are closer to the 8-win team that I predicted rather than the 10-win team that a lot of people saw. I have told you this for weeks. I have told you this for months. I have told you this for years, and it's coming up week after week now. The Patriots are limited. They are too limited. It's that simple. In order for the Patriots to win games, in order for them to win games against good teams, maybe not the Jets, but against the Eagles and against the Dolphins, the Patriots have to play near perfect football. And that's a hard way to be. And that is a hard way to play. And you know what? As angry as I am, I feel bad for the players who have to play almost air-free football to win these games. It shouldn't be that way. You should be able to have a mistake and overcome it. You should be able to have a mistake and to rectify it. You should be able to go through and stub your toe and know that the game's not over. But for this group, if you don't play air-free against good teams, you're not winning. Okay? Playing perfect or having to play perfect is really, really hard. I think about it, right? Think about it like baseball. All those years that I pitched. If I was going up against a group of guys that were much, much better than me, it's like, well, look, I got to have a good fastball. I got to have a great curveball. I got to have the best changeup. And you know what? I can't get behind in the count, and I can't walk anybody, and I got to get ahead. And my defense has to play perfect behind me as well. And then we got to hit. We got to be able to score some runs, and I got to get them to chase a little bit. And I got to make sure I bounce the changeup. The umpire's got to give me a ball or two off the outside corner. That's really hard to have to do all that. It weighs on you, and it's nearly impossible to get all of it. Patriots commit 2 turnovers. They were winning that game once you do that. The Pop Douglas fumble at the end of the first quarter, the Mack turnover in the red zone, they're not overcoming that. You give up 4 sacks. You got multiple injuries. The best teams in the league can overcome a lot of that. The Patriots can't. This group, as I've told you for weeks and for months, has to go above and beyond. It's really hard to go above and beyond, and it's really hard to do it consistently. And here you are, 0-2. And your season is on life support. Okay? Your season is on life support. I'm not lying to you. Like, trust me, I want to be the guy that says, hey, it's only 2 games, and hey, we got a lot of time left, and hey, it's what happens after Thanksgiving is what really counts. I want to be that guy. But the bottom line is the Patriots are 0-2, and since we went to 17-game schedule in the 2021 season, whatever it was, only one 0-2 team has made the playoffs. I believe that was the Bengals last year. So going 0-2 is really difficult, especially when you're trying to win as a wild card. The Patriots are not going to win this division. They're not going to win this division. So if you were in a division like, the old NFC West or the last year's AFC South where like 8-8 or 8-9 will win you the division, 9-8, you might be able to start out 0-2 and win your division. The Patriots aren't winning the division. They need to get in as a wild card. And if they're going to get in as a wild card, you're really not doing it easily from 0-2. History is not on your side. This season is on life support. And it's frustrating because I told you what is going to happen with this team. And I was right. They're limited. They don't have enough help offensively. You can't keep getting down double digits in the first half. They're not built to do that. I could see it. Why can't Bill see it? Why can't Robert Kraft see it? Why can't the higher-ups see it? If I could see it, and I'm nobody, why can't they see it? I've seen it, and even still, I didn't want to believe I was right. I didn't want to believe I was right. I don't know that I thought the Patriots were better than the Dolphins, but I couldn't see the Patriots losing that game, and they lost it anyways. We need to come to terms with the fact but the Patriots are not the Patriots of old. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. The result is the result. We'll unpack the Patriots, everything that led to the result, good and bad, next on DEV.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. That's right, Dan. Because we always have a huge inventory, you'll never have to settle for an ugly vehicle at Lamoille Valley Ford. Now it's that time of year again, with new models coming, that the pressure is on to sell down, and that means you can save. Truck buyers, listen to these awesome new incentives. Right now, on any in-stock F-150, qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 36 months. Or how about this smoking 2-year lease deal? With $4,900 cash or trade plus fees, returning lessees can get a loaded 2023 F-150 Super Cab 4x4 for just $299 per month. Plus, right now at Lamoille Valley Ford, not only will you find the largest selection of new Ford vehicles in Vermont, but we also have a ton of late model, low mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs ready to go. Folks, the bottom line is we need to make room for next year's models, and my entire Lamoille Valley Ford team is ready to do whatever it takes to earn your business. Woo! You heard, Rick. Drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and the Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Free, 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 free. Coffee, 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 coffee. Fridays, 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 Fridays. Not an echo. An amazing offer. Hey, All Town Neighborhood Perks members. Celebrate National Coffee Day all month long with a free, delicious All Town Fresh coffee every Friday in September at Jiffy Mart and T-Bird stores. Not a member? Join now at alltownneighborhoodperks.com. Okay, that's an echo.
Only at participating locations while supplies last.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results.
I've been advertising on WDEV for a number of years now. It's been a really great spot for me to get my name out.
We're an excellent partner for our advertising dollars.
We jumped at the opportunity, and we're so pleased we did. We have experienced incredible results.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Yeah.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. We are streaming live right now on our Facebook Live chat. You can get in there as well. Also on the text line, 802-585-3026. The Patriots are 0-2, 24-17 losers yesterday to the Miami Dolphins. Danny, let's unpack the Patriots. Give me the music.
Which Patriots popped?
To the 30, to the 20. He is... Okay, well, that was half the sounder. There we go. There's the music. Now
we're doing this right.
The sounder. Yeah, there you go. You know what? You producing just like the Patriots played for the first quarter yesterday. Now give me the sounder.
Which Patriots popped?
To the 30, to the 20. He is end zone bound. Pick six. Touchdown. Patriots.
And which ones flopped?
Jones steps up in the pocket, unloads a deep ball, and it's intercepted. That'll put the cherry on top.
We unpack the Patriots now on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
We do this every Patriots post-mortem, right? The good and the bad. It's not one or the other. Even though the Patriots lost, there was some good in there, but there was more bad than good as we really break it on down. Number one on the bad side, and these are in no particular order. Number one on the bad side, the Patriots created no havoc with their pass rush. None. Now, I do give credit to Tua for getting rid of the ball quick. I do give credit to Mike McDaniel for scheming it up for him to get rid of the ball quick. Just like the Patriots did to the Eagles last week, Tua was able to do to the Patriots. But if the Patriots are going to be predicated on their defense, that defense did nothing for most of the game to disrupt Tua. Can't have it. If the offense is going to be limited and the defense is going to have to be the calling card, you can't have just one sack, right? And the Patriots were down John Jones. He didn't play. They were down Marcus Jones for most of the game. When you lost two of your top corners there, and now your corners have to cover for longer, and you've got backup corners in there, and guys playing a little bit out of position, you really can't afford to not be able to get home. Because if you can't get home, the longer Tua can sit back there, pat, and then he can find guys who are running free. Again, he also got rid of the ball quickly and allowed his playmakers to make plays in space. That's not really on the DB's fault, but if you can't get pressure, if you can't disrupt things, then quarterback play will rise, and that's what happened yesterday for Tua. Belichick or Mayo or Steve Belichick or whoever it was couldn't come up with something to get pressure. The Dolphins averaged nearly 8 yards per pass, and yeah, the Patriots didn't allow the huge play over the top, but Tua had all kinds of time to scan and do and find what and who he wanted. Let's get to the good side here on that secondary front. Congratulations are in order for Christian Gonzalez, his first NFL pick, and it came in a big moment yesterday in the fourth quarter. Danny.
That's my man from the 45. Here's Tua looking deep, taking a shot downfield for Tyreke. Underthrown, intercepted. The rookie Christian Gonzalez.
I love young defensive backs who can come in and can make an immediate impact. Sauce Gardner last year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Tariq Woolen up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. When young DBs can come in, they can be absolute game changers. We've seen Christian Gonzalez tackle. We've seen him with a pass breakup, I think on fourth down last week against the Eagles. We've seen him go up now and make the ball or make a play on the ball against one of the elite wide receivers in this league. I don't know yet if he's the next Darrelle Revis, but I know that having a top corner that then can run with guys and can go up and make a play, as well as a corner who can tackle in space, I know that that's very, very valuable. And right now, at number 17 in the draft, that seems to have been a very good pick for the Patriots. Yes, I think they would have been better served with a wide receiver. Yes, I think they would have been better served with an offensive tackle. But you went defense, and I can at least judge the player and say, you know what, he looks pretty darn good. Will he turn into Revis Island or what Stephon Gilmore was? I don't know. But the Patriots have had good success here with DBs, right? Whether it's Gilmore or Revis or Brandon Browner when he was in New England, or whether it was J.C. Jackson. They've turned Miles Bryant into a player, John Jones. They've had good success with DBs. Christian Gonzalez looks like he is another success story already. On the bad side, yet again, the Patriots are not explosive. I don't know how many more years I can say this, but since this show started, October of 2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2 games in 2023, this offense is largely a slog. Now, I give credit to Bill O'Brien. I do believe he's got some good plays in his bag of tricks. And when the Patriots offense gets going, it gets going. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Patriots offense is totally garbage. They can move the football, and they're better at moving the football than I thought they would be, but it is still generally a slog for them to move the football. Their first drive that resulted in the field goal from Ryland, nice kick, by the way, they went 35 yards only. 35 yards. It took them 10 plays to go 35 yards. That shouldn't be the case, right? I'd like to see 6-play, 85-yard drives. I'd like to see 20 yards down the field and 25 yards down the field and 37 yards down the field. And, there's a big run there for 18. None of that happened. Okay, it took them 8 plays to go 58 yards, which is better than 10 for 35, but it's still, a bit slow. They're longer drives. They're slower developing drives. I mean, Miami went 8 plays, 75 yards. They did it in 2 minutes or less before the first half ended there. They went 1 play for 43 on the Raheem Mostert touchdown run in the fourth. The Patriots don't have that. The Patriots ain't going 8 for 75 in a minute 39. The Patriots ain't going 1 for 43 right now. You need some kind of quick strikeability, some kind of big playability. For most of the game, the Patriots didn't have a play over 13 yards. And then when they finally got it, it was a Mac Jones scramble in the fourth. They don't have the personnel that can break free. It's been this way for 4 or 5 years, and it's through Josh McDaniels, and it's through Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and now it's through Bill O'Brien. Again, there's some good stuff here. The offense has some good stuff. They are close. But close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It doesn't count in the NFL. You're 0-2. Okay, we look at the Patriots. Danny, I was amazed when I read this. The Patriots offense, I'm still amazed. The Patriots offense averaged 4.1 yards per play yesterday. 4.1. For reference, the Texans were the worst offense in the league last year. They averaged 4.7. So the Patriots offense yesterday averaged more than half a yard per play less than the worst offense in football last year. Okay, the Patriots went 5.5 yards per attempt yesterday in the air. The worst quarterback in the league last year was 6.1. Tua was almost 8 yards per attempt yesterday. He's getting the ball down the field in the air, and Mac Jones is left to dink and dunk. That's not a winning recipe. That's not a great recipe there. It's not a great formula. Another thing on the bad front, I say all of that, and that's all true, but a lot of it also comes down to this. You've got to stop getting down early. You're down 10-0 in the first half last week, or 16-0 in the first half last week. You're down 10-0 this week. Then you're down 17-3. When you are not explosive, you can't come back that easily. And I know they've gotten close, but they haven't been able to finish the deal. This team is built to play from ahead. Slow. Look, the Patriots got up 10-0, and then all of a sudden wanted to grind out a 13-play and 84-yard drive, and then more power to them. Cement the game and kill the clock as you're doing it. But they're not playing that way because they're down. They are not built to come back from 14-0 and 17-3. You want to get up 17-3? Then play slow and methodical all you want. The Patriots, we talk about balance. We talk about needing to run the football. The Patriots ran for 88 yards yesterday. Why? You can't run the ball when you have to be so one-dimensional. Ramondre Stevenson is the best offensive player on this team, and he can't get going because this team is not in the game for the first half. And you can't run when you're trying to throw your way back into it. You just can't. When you're playing from 2 touchdowns back, it's impossible to create balance. And the Patriots need that balance. On the positive side, well, the Patriots had 7 different pass catchers. I'll give them an A for ball distribution, right? That's good for the offense. Now, none of these guys had big plays. None of these guys had huge yardage totals, but, I like a bit of it, right? We see Gesicki and we see Hunter Henry, and I see Mac hitting both tight ends, and Parker and Juju got into it a little bit. Again, none of it's explosive, but at least they've got other guys you could throw to. For the past, I thought it was only Jacoby Myers you could throw to. Now they got other guys who can get the ball. But it's not mattering a lot when you're down big and everything's 4 yards and 8 yards and 6 yards here. They're not getting down the field. You're going to need to get down the field. Lastly on the bad side, second week in a row, Mac Jones has had a chance to come back late and couldn't do it. It's not all on him. I've actually generally been impressed with what Mac has done. But what have I said for years? You want to win in the NFL, you need special. And when you've needed special, weeks 1 and 2, Mac hasn't been able to deliver. Again, it's not all on him, but he couldn't come down last week and win the game. He couldn't come down this week and tie the game. He had a critical interception in the red zone that was unacceptable. It goes to what I've said. Mac Jones is not special. He needs to play almost perfectly with this group. And perfect is a really hard bar. There's a really difficult bar to hit. And it's why it's so frustrating. Patriots haven't given him enough help, and he's not good enough to overcome it on his own. He's not bad. But in my favorite video game analogy, he's a 78 overall. You want to win? You want to come from behind? You need to be an 88. And he's a 78. Finally, lastly, the good thing, the special teams play was awesome, right? When they blocked the kick from Jason Sanders, that was incredible. I'd never seen that before. Brendan Schooler looks like he's late getting on the field. He comes in off the sideline, and then boom, all of a sudden, he just comes off and just plucks that ball out of the air practically. I only wish the Patriots could have returned it for a touchdown. That was sick. But I'm sick that the Pats are 0-2. That's Unpacking the Patriots. I want to get Danny's impression a little bit. I'll ask him what he thought of the game, and I'll ask you, panic or patience with the 0-2 Pats? That's next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Tom Foti. 5 Americans are on their way back from the Persian Gulf after years of detention in Iran.
They're all headed for Washington, D.C., soon to reunite with family.
These Americans are now free after having endured something that I think most of us can't possibly imagine.
The Biden administration agreed to a deal in August, clearing $6 billion in frozen Iranian oil funds. In addition to the funds, President Biden also granted clemency to 5 Iranians who were facing charges in the U.S. for nonviolent crimes. 2 who have legal status in America have chosen to stay in the country. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
There's a potential conflict between 2 U.S. allies, Canada and India. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Trudeau says he raised his concerns about this to India's Prime Minister Modi at the G20 summit last week in India. An arrest in Palmdale, California, in the ambush shooting death of an L.A. County Sheriff's deputy.
The suspect chose to barricade himself and refused to initially come out. Eventually, they deployed chemical agents, and the suspect ultimately surrendered.
L.A. County Sheriff Robert Luna. The pilot is safe, but what happened to a sophisticated military jet that crashed? CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick.
The F-35 disappeared after its pilot ejected in North Charleston, South Carolina. The pilot is in stable condition. It isn't clear why he needed to eject.
A defense official just now reports that a debris field has been discovered in that area, which could, we repeat, could be the wreckage of that F-35. In the 4-day-old partial auto strike against the Big Three, talks, but
no deal yet, which means these workers remain on strike.
UAW in the house right now?
Citing the ripple effect of the strike, Ford says it has had to temporarily lay off about 600 workers at this plant,
which is in Wayne, Michigan, which is where correspondent Chris Van Cleve is. Katy Perry sells the rights to 5 of her albums for a cool $225 million.
They include Teenage Dream from 2010, which generated 5 monster hits, including Firework. Catalog rights company Litmus Group purchased the rights of Perry's 5 studio albums released under Capitol Records between 2008 and 2020. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
And this is CBS News.
When you think of hiring, think of Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Entertainment news. British comedian Russell Brand's future gig somewhat on hold as British police investigate sexual assault allegations against him. CBS's Vicky Barker is in London.
Scotland Yard says it is investigating an allegation of sexual assault involving Russell Brand dating from 2003. That's before the alleged assaults reported by 4 women in the British media this weekend. It's led his promoters to scrap Brand's latest live gigs. He continues to insist all his encounters and relationships have been consensual, but the Times of London says more women are coming forward. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
And Jan Wenner, a founder of both Rolling Stone magazine and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, has now been removed from the Hall's board after making disparaging comments about black and female musicians. Wall Street closed slightly higher, checking gasoline prices. AAA's national average for a gallon of regular, $3.88. Tom Foti, CBS News.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on this Monday, WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up tonight at 7:05 with the pregame show. 8:05 is the first pitch. Tyler Miliken from 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, one of the best Red Sox insiders there is. He's going to be with us here at about 6:25, 6:30 or so. Talk about the future of the organization, talk about Chaim Bloom's dismissal last week as the chief baseball officer and kind of where the Red Sox go from here. Right now, we're taking your thoughts still on the New England Patriots and their 24-17 loss against the Miami Dolphins yesterday. Will over in Plattsburgh says the Patriots' lack of ability for big plays makes it easy for opposing defenses. I'm not going to pretend to be Mr. Film Breakdown guy. I would say that you're probably right. But I do also think that Bill O'Brien has some wrinkles there, right? Like, I think Bill O'Brien's done a good job. I think he is making chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what right now. Okay, the Patriots, I believe, they're moving the ball better than I thought they would. They are generally doing things offensively. Like, they look like a real offense more than I expected. What they're not built to do, though, is come back from 14-0. What I think would be great is that the Patriots could get up 14-0. Then I think they could squeeze the life out of another team and just methodically move the ball down the field. That's how they're built. But when you're down 14-0 and you have to try to get, only can maneuver the ball through the air, then it is easy to just sit back and say, okay, now we're not going to let anything behind us. Now we're not going to let anything big happen. We're just going to make you go kind of chunk play in the middle of the field, 5 yards here, 7 yards there. What I think would be better, Danny, is like, let's just say the Patriots are up 7-0. Let's say the Patriots are up 10-3. Well, now it's 10-3. There's 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and now the defense is getting a little over anxious on the other team because they're trying to create something. And now you're able to run the ball, grind them down with Ramondre Stevenson, and then you're able to hit play action. And now you're able to go deep down the field because now they are sucked up into the box. Now they are thinking the run is a threat. Now you have been running the ball. And now when you go 4 yards on the ground, and now they come up, well, now there's over the top. And now that's how you create something down the field. But when you're down 14-0, you can't do that. It's like, hey, we know they got to pass it. We know we're not going to let them deep. So all we have now is this intermediate dunk. Steve over in Facein says, I was there. Painful to watch. Every time they did something good, they shot themselves in the foot. Steve, I'm going to ask you this question because this is for you, but it's for a lot of people because I was told, right? I said this around the draft. I said this in July. I said this at training camp. I said this in the preseason, and I said this before week 1. I said, I don't think the Patriots are a very good football team. I think they are an average team. I think best case scenario is they could get to 9 or 10 wins and they could sneak in as the 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs. And I was told at every turn, Brady, don't be a hater. Brady, wait until we played a little bit. Let's see how they are. Hey, Brady, you might be wrong. And Bill, we trust. Are we ready to admit that I was right? I was wrong in picking the Patriots this week. But I thought reputation would get the Patriots this win. In terms of talent, I knew Miami was better. I just couldn't bring myself to admit it to you on the air on Friday. I couldn't bring myself to pick against the Patriots. I will not make that mistake again this season. Reputation will not lead me to pick the Patriots because the Patriots now aren't the reputation of old. They aren't the team of old. They aren't the guys of old. And we got to accept that. And we got to realize that. And I got to be better. I got to be better at it as well. I saw this coming. And everyone said, Brady, just wait. Here you are. You're saying this just to get us all riled up. Oh, you're just doing a radio thing. No, I'm saying it because it was the truth. And it's been borne out to be the truth. Another texter says, could it be possible the organization and Belichick aren't that great and they were successful in the past largely because of Tom Brady? Yes, that's possible. Tom Brady covered up a lot of warts. And you know what? Great ones do that. LeBron covers up warts. Brady covers up warts. Mahomes is going to cover up warts. This is what the best ones do. This is what the best guys of all time do. They cover up organizational sins. They cover up organizational problems. They're, as Colin Cowherd says, the great eraser. Now, Belichick's not incompetent. He's still a great coach. You know what he's not great at, though? I think managing people. We'll get to that in a minute. I also think he's not that great right now when it comes to drafting and player acquisition. And I think he sees the game in a way you used to see the game and not the way it should be seen now. He's still a great coach. But so incompetent is too tough. But yes, Brady covered up a lot of stuff. Texter says, yeah, they also Bruschi and Richard Seymour covered up a lot also. Yeah. But the Patriots don't have those guys. As Danny says, they ain't walking through the door. Danny, you watched every play last night. Did you see what I see? Are you feeling better about the Patriots today than I do? Are you feeling worse or what?
Worse, because I thought they hung in there against a good team week one, and then they just kind of didn't do anything on offense.
First half of this is so irritating. How do you come out in the first quarter of each of the first two games and go scoreless? How do you come out in the third quarter and come out in each of the last two games and go scoreless? The NFL is built for offense. The NFL is designed for offense. The rules favor offense. The defense can't do anything. The league wants offense. They're giving it to you, and you can't come out and take it after in the pregame. Like, first 15 plays of the game are scripted. You can't score on your first drive. You can't go down and get a field goal on your first drive. You can't come out after the famed halftime adjustments and get a field goal if you're the Patriots. How is that possible? I'm watching Seahawks-Lions yesterday, and Geno Smith and Jared Goff are waltzing up and down the field. You never see it an easier thing than scoring in yesterday's Seahawks-Lions game. And then you go around the rest of the league, and there's Washington and Denver waltzing up and down the field. Denver did it in the first half. Washington did it in the second half. But teams have the ability to waltz up and down the field. Even teams we don't think are that great. We don't think Denver's that great offensively, waltzing up and down the field. Okay, we look at Washington. I don't think Washington's very good. Waltzing up and down the field. Indianapolis, with Gardner Minshew, is waltzing up and down the field against Houston. The league is designed for offense, and the Patriots are scoreless in the first half or in the first quarter and the third quarter this year. How is that possible? In a league predicated on giving you scoring opportunities, they can't take them early. You have a week to prepare. You have a scripted play sheet. You have a good play caller, it appears, to Bill O'Brien, and you get nothing. Nothing in the first quarter. 802-585-3026. I ask you this. I ask all of you this. Panic or patience? Panic or patience? Danny, are you panicking with the Patriots? Or are you giving them patience?
I'm not panicking because I didn't come in with crazy expectations anyway, but it's not good.
I'm panicking. It's not because I think the whole thing is broken. I'm panicking because the sense of urgency that needs to come with you being 0-2 and the realization that 0-2 is almost a death sentence in the NFL. It shouldn't be, but it almost is. Again, I think one team in the last 2 years has gone 0-2 and even made the playoffs. That was Cincy last year, since we went to the 17-game schedule. Back with the 16-game schedule, most teams that went 0-2 didn't make the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm panicking. There's a lot to like here. Defense is pretty good. Christian Gonzalez is playing pretty well. Ryland yesterday at kicker, 49-yarders, first kick ever. That was pretty good. Offense, play caller seems to be pretty competent. Gesicki and Henry doing some things. There's a lot to like. But at the end of the day, you're 0-2. So, yeah, I'm panicking because it means your season is on life support. Now, Tom Curran, Danny of NBC Sports Boston, was asked this question. He says he's not panicking yet, but he also understands the urgency.
I'm deeply disappointed, but not panicked.
Okay.
I just think it's a better team than this. And I continue to hold out hope that they will play like a Bill Belichick team. As we've been saying for multiple years, they would stop with penalties. They would, you had an illegal motion on a kickoff. I mean, come on. So to me, I do hold out hope that at some point Bill Belichick will recoup his quality control and Mac Jones will play for an entire game without a cement-headed decision like the one he made tonight. That cost the entire team.
Yeah, the interception in the red zone was horrible, right? You get the first down, big play on first, I think it was the third down they converted. It was the fourth down they converted where Mac gets the QB sneak and gets pushed in the back, if I'm remembering correctly, and then he throws the interception. Can't have that. Okay, you cannot have that. And I'm panicking because I'm frustrated because, you know what? I can see it. The Patriots are close, right? We can all see the Patriots are close. They have the ability to be in these games, but they continually shoot themselves in the foot. They continuously shoot themselves in the foot. You can't have that. Not if you want to be a winning team, right? Bill Belichick says more games are lost than won in the NFL, and the Patriots are proving that. They are losing these games. Fumble, Pop Douglas. Pick, Mac Jones. Penalty here, penalty there. Frustrating. Very, very frustrating. The urgency needs to be real. You're 0-2. Again, you're playing the Jets. I think you're going to win that game given who the Jets have, but at quarterback, Steve says, I'm closer to panic. I've been patient, I must admit. Thank you for coming over to my side. That's the right side. Tex says, patience or panic is not the right question here. The team is mediocre. Let's just say they're disappointing. No. This is what happens in the NFL. Okay, we react to games on Monday. We only have 17 of these things, right? This isn't baseball. We do this once a week, right? We have one of these a week. It's appropriate on Monday to come in and have an emotional response. Yes, the team is disappointing. It's disappointing that they didn't upgrade in the offseason. It's disappointing the way they drafted. It's disappointing of what they did a year ago with their offensive coaching situation. It's disappointing that they don't have a number one wide receiver. But you know what? This is the team, and this is the team that we're reacting to, and we only have 15 more of these things to go. So, yes, I'm going to panic. Will says, patience, it's too early to panic. Is it? Danny, if most teams that are 0-2 don't make the playoffs, I do not think it's too early to panic. Like, think about it this way. It's no longer a perfect comparison because it's a 17-game schedule, not a 16-game schedule. But, Danny, think about this, right? There are 160 baseball games. There are 16 NFL games. So there were 16 NFL games. So one NFL game was always equal to 10 baseball games. If the Red Sox started out 0-20, which is essentially what the Patriots have done, we'd be panicking. That is the comparison, isn't it? If one NFL game equals 10 baseball games, the Patriots are the equivalent of 0-20. Wouldn't you be panicking, Danny, if I told you your baseball team was going to start out 0-20?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah, the season's over at that point. If your baseball team starts out 0-20, the season is over at that point. Now, 20-0 doesn't guarantee you a Super Bowl win or a World Series title, but you're a hell of a lot closer to a good situation started out 20-0 with backsliding than you are 0-20 and playing catch-up. That's where the Patriots are at right now, essentially. They are essentially an 0-20 baseball team. I mean, we got 80 NBA games, essentially. Now, this is going to be too much math here for my head here, but one NFL game is equivalent to 5 NBA games. Okay, if I told you, Danny, the Celtics were going to start out 0-10, wouldn't you be panicking?
I would be.
It doesn't mean the season is over, but it means you can't afford a whole lot of slip-ups, right? Like if you were the Celtics, you started out 0-10, and then you win 2 in a row, and then you win, okay, now you're 2-10, but then you're 2-14. Like, no, you can't do that. You got to go on a hot streak now. The Patriots have forced themselves into having to win 3 of their next 4 just to get to 3-3. They forced themselves to have to win 7 of 8 to be interesting. And with this schedule that includes a trip to Germany, I mean, it's a hard schedule. It was ranked the hardest in the league for a reason coming in. Bob in Moncton says, you've had 2 home games. You've lost them both. You've played a divisional opponent, and it's Mac's 3rd year. It's time to panic. Thank you. Jump into my nightmare. The water is warm. For the people who tell Will's one of our best texters. He says it's too early to panic. It is not too early to panic, right? The Seahawks were 0-1 yesterday. You know I'm a Seahawk fan by life and a Patriot fan by work, and I really do like the Patriots a lot. Trust me. But the Seahawks, I thought they were going to get rolled by the Lions yesterday, and I was ready to have the whole season be a bust. 1-1 is a whole different world than 0-2. The Vikings are 0-2, team that won 13 games last year or whatever. They're already talking about trading Kirk Cousins, all the pundits out there, because the season's a flop. 0-2 is not a good thing. That's for sure. All right, 802-585-3026. I want to talk about this as well. I think Bill Belichick handled the situation yesterday completely wrong. Completely wrong. Danny, remember last play of the first quarter? Patriots are driving. Mac hits Demario Douglas, and he kind of sidesteps a defender, and he's really trying to make a play, right? Young kid trying to make a play, trying to get upfield. He makes a kind of a shimmy move, gets away from traffic, and then Bradley Chubb tracks him down from behind. He fumbles the football. Patriots turn it over. It was a big turnover. It was a mistake, but it was a mistake born out of him trying to get extra yardage, right? Young player trying to do a lot. Guys were undrafted or a 6th-round draft pick as a rookie. After he fumbles the football, Bill Belichick put him on ice for the entire game, right? Did not play Demario Douglas another offensive snap for the entire game. I think that is completely the wrong decision. And I dislike that happened to Pop Douglas. Now, I won't pretend to have ever spoken to Demario Douglas, so I don't know how he is, but I can tell you this for me. I had a coach tell me it was the best advice I ever got. Okay, some guys need a kick on the backside. Some guys need a pat on the backside. You got to figure out who responds to what, because not everyone responds to the same thing. I don't know which one of those Demario Douglas is, but I can tell you that putting the kid on ice was not the right move. Okay, number one, Demario Douglas made a mistake. Players do make mistakes. Players should be allowed to grow from mistakes. When they become habitual mistakes, that's when they stop playing. That's when they get traded. That's when they get cut. Right? If Mac Jones threw 5 picks yesterday, well, then we can have the conversation about him being benched or about him being taken out. Right? How many times, like Cam Newton getting benched, right? You do something habitually, we could talk about your job security. We could talk about your punishment. Demario Douglas is a young player who's just trying to do his best for the team, who's trying to make a play, who's trying to ignite a flat offense. He made a mistake. He committed a turnover. It is a big deal. It's not something that I can, just gloss over. But to put the kid on ice, where is the teaching moment? Bill Belichick is supposed to be a great coach. Well, being a great coach also involves being a teacher. Also involves figuring out the right way to get the best out of your player. Maybe in 1990, it was okay to kick a guy to the curb and be done with him when he made a mistake. But in 2023, you've got to find a way to get the best out of the guys on your team. And I promise you that kicking a man while he's down is no longer the best way to do that. Look, I don't know who Pop Douglas is, but if you want to get in his face and scream at him because you think that that's what he'll respond to, then do it. If you want to come over on the side, put your arm around him and coddle him because you think that's what he needs, then go ahead and do it. But taking a useful player off the field for the purpose of punishment at a mistake, that's not something we need in 2023. And Danny, I think it was Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston who said he's tired of this selective punishment from Bill Belichick.
What's wild to me is the selective way in which he approaches these penalties. I remember Stephen Ridley was a fumbling machine, and then all of a sudden he would get benched, and then there was a period of time where he would fumble and Bill didn't bench him. He's just not as consistent, seemingly, a head coach as he might have been 10, 12, 15 years ago in terms of doling out punishment. You want to dole out punishments, you had Dietrich Wise offside in the first drive last week, which negated a 15-yard loss. It's one of your captains. You had Kyle Duggar with a hold in the end zone. It negated a sack on one of the drives that wound up being points. So it's everyone. It's your captains. It's your best players. Mac Jones picked today. He's a captain. It's a horrendous pick. So this selectiveness of, you're a freshman. The coach is going to stuff you in a locker. Stop.
Yes, stop. Okay. people make mistakes, and I get some people's contract status and some people's money and some people's draft status allow them a little bit longer of a leash than others. I accept that. But DeMario Douglas has proven to be an important player, or at least a capable player for you. We talk about a team that doesn't have any explosiveness. We talk about a team that can't get down the field. DeMario Douglas seems to provide some of that. Right, he had the catch along the sideline last week against Philly. He had the catch and run yesterday before he fumbled, which was a nice play. This is a guy they can use, and Bill Belichick elected to hurt the team by taking him off the field for what? To prove a point. Look, if he fumbled 2 or 3 times, then yeah, keep him off the field. I get it. But to put him on ice and to give the kid no faith and tell everybody, hey, no, you got to play perfect to be in our system here, son. That's not what anybody needs. Danny, I think it was Michael Holley, number 3, talking about this very same thing that I'm saying.
Maybe veterans can deal with it. You can, bury them after a mistake. I think for the guy like this who's got a lot of potential, you can't afford it. You can't afford to just take him out of the game. You think about the receivers on this team who are able to do what Pop Douglas does. I think he's the only one.
He's the only one, and they took him off the field for the purpose of proving a point. Again, that's what I don't like. That's what I don't get. I'm not saying that you forgive every mistake. I'm not saying that mistakes don't matter. They do. The turnover was big, and it was critical, and I get it. But if Pop Douglas is a guy that you truly value, then show him that you value him. Go over to him, put your arm around him and say, hey, we got you. Or, hey, look, here's what we got to do better. And here's how you can. Give him a drill. I don't care, but show something. Remember, Danny, 3 weeks ago, we're talking about Pop Douglas not playing in preseason because Bill Belichick doesn't want to expose him to other teams. They valued him so much they didn't want him getting taken, off a practice squad or signed by somebody else. They didn't even want his tape out on tape in preseason. They clearly like this kid. So if you like him and you think he's valuable and you think he's useful, then you've hurt the team by taking him off the field, and you very well may have hurt him and his confidence by what you did to him. It's not the appropriate thing for this scenario. Again, he made a mistake. I get it. But a lot of other people made mistakes too and stayed on the field. You don't just need to prove a point. Texter says that I see correctly that Elliott essentially also was put on ice. He did not get put on ice. Ezekiel Elliott only had 5 carries. I cannot tell you when those carries all came. But I know Ezekiel Elliott was in the game blocking for Mac Jones on the 4th down right before the pick, right? Where they all pushed the pile and Mac gets the first. Elliott was on the field then. I couldn't tell you when his carries all came in terms of their dispersion, but he was on the field. Our guy Jack says, Brady, this might be your best segment ever. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Texter says, I'm not in full panic, but I agree on Pop Douglas. Build him up and let him have an opportunity to fix the mistake. He's a young player trying to make a play. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I'm trying to think. I don't have a specific example in my head from yesterday's games, but I can't tell you how many times I've watched a Seahawk game and seen a mistake get made and Pete Carroll go over and put his arm around a guy and basically say, hey, man, we love you. You'll get the next one. And look, you could say then that that's too much the other way and Pete's too soft. And we can have that argument too. But some guys need to be coddled and some guys need to be throttled. But nobody needs to just be flat out benched for one mistake. No one needs to be put on ice for one mistake. That's not helping the team, and that's not helping Pop Douglas develop. And he looks like, to Holly's point, the only guy that can really do what he can do. Right? Kayshon Boutte was a healthy scratch yesterday. He didn't play. Devontae Parker can't separate and doesn't have breakaway speed. Juju Smith-Schuster isn't a separator and doesn't have breakaway speed. Pop Douglas looks like the guy. Tyquan Thornton has speed, but he's on IR. He's not playing. So if this guy was so good in preseason that you didn't want him scooped up by somebody else, then you got to give him a little longer leash than one mistake. And then after the game, Belichick's like, hey, everybody we had played. Yeah, he played before the fumble. You didn't see him after that. And he only returned punts because Marcus Jones got hurt. Will says, better encourage Pop Douglas because we're going to need him. Of course you're going to need him. And they know they need him. And I bet you the players don't want to see Pop Douglas punished either. Look, guys miss blocks, guys miss assignments, guys blow coverages, guys drop picks. I saw Sauce Gardner yesterday for the Jets. Right, he had a pick six in his back pocket against Dallas. If he makes that play, it's a totally different game. Instead, Dallas comes down and scores and goes up like 18-10 or whatever at the half. I didn't see Sauce Gardner getting benched. I didn't see Robert Saleh putting him on ice for the entire game. But Bill Belichick did it, and it doesn't help anybody. Not anymore. Look, this is a 53-man roster, right? Last thing on this, because I want to get to Tyler Miliken here in a minute. But this isn't baseball, right? In baseball, when you've got a guy who goes 0 for 5 and then goes 0 for 5 the next game, look, you got a whole minor league system, right? We can call up the 21-year-old prospect. Okay, we can call up the young kid. We can let the young kid play. Hey, our outfielders booted 4 balls this week. We can go to the minors. This isn't that. You got a 53-man roster. You basically gave yourself a 52-man roster yesterday by cutting Demario Douglas out. Does not help the team, and there's not an easy replacement. Okay, there's not an easy replacement. You don't have 10 wide receivers waiting in some minor league system. These are the guys you got. These are the guys you liked out of camp. And this is a guy who I think has shown something. And you took him on ice for really no reason at all. A turnover is critical. Can't have him. Can't win with him. But remember, Danny, Remember the Titans, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's on all the time on television. So you remember the scene where Petey, the guy who was also on Scrubs, Petey Jones is the running back. He fumbles the football, and Herman Boone takes him over. He kicks him off the field, right? He throws him off.
You're on a mile.
Yeah, well, that was in camp, but he fumbled in the game, and then Petey fumbles in the game, and he gets benched, and he goes over to the sideline, and Yost goes over to him and goes, Petey, whatever. And he goes, look, all this yelling at me doesn't make me play any better. I can't play for this man. That's what Petey Jones said. And then Yost says, well, come play defense for me. I want you to be out there and cover 23. That's what would happen. And Remember the Titans, a movie about the 60s, we got coaches who were putting players on ice for fumbling the football, and the player then is telling you that this isn't getting the best out of me. I don't know how Pop Douglas responds, but I can't imagine that in 2023, guys respond real well to just being taken out entirely. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Thanks to Jack for saying that was my best segment ever. Felt good about it, too. I don't know if it was the best ever. That's for you to decide, but felt pretty good about it as well, because also we had great listener participation. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 different listeners get in that segment alone, plus Danny. That's good. That's what makes the show fun, is when we're all involved, and hopefully everyone's as frustrated as I am about this. The Red Sox are also frustrating. They got swept this weekend in Toronto. They're going to take on the Texas Rangers. They need to figure out their direction moving forward. Tyler Miliken, 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, Red Sox expert, is going to be with us next on DEV.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy Hearing Clearance Sale is on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, Pat. That's right. Folks, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have one of the largest selections of new Chevys in Vermont, including over 50 Chevy Silverados in stock or incoming. And it's that time of year again with the new models coming that the pressure is on us, and we have to do what it takes to save you money. Right now, current Chevy owners can take up to $10,000 off MSRP on a new in-stock Silverado at Lamoille Valley Chevy. That's huge. And listen, not only will you find one of the largest selections of new Chevy vehicles anywhere, but our lot is also loaded with late model, low mileage, one-owner car trucks and SUVs, including many certified pre-owned vehicles that come with a better warranty than a new car. The bottom line is we need to make room for next year's incoming models that are on the way, and I've instructed my Lamoille Valley Chevy team to do what it takes to make deals and earn your business one customer at a time. You heard Pat. Get a great deal at the Big Dog Daddy Hearing Clearance Sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by VTDigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local changemakers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at VTDigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV. WDEV.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-917-5151. 800-917-5151. 800-917-5151.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For some people, all they need to know about weather is the high temperature for the day. But if you're one of those people who really wants to understand the hows and whys of weather, especially here in the Green Mountain State, then Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is for you. Some of the topics I'll explore are the types of precipitation, global temperature averages, and tropical cyclones. Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is available at WDEVradio.com, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on this Monday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We're up until 7 o'clock tonight, then it's off to Red Sox baseball. Sox looking for a better start to their week than they ended their weekend as they go out to Texas to take on the Rangers in a series I, as a Mariners fan, would like them to perform well in. Joining us now to talk all things Red Sox, including the firing last week of Chaim Bloom, is Red Sox insider Tyler Miliken. He's over at the Name Redacted podcast. You can check him out there with Jared Carabas. He's also on 98.5 The Sports Hub, was the producer of Zolak and Bertrand. Tyler, how are you?
I'm good. Been a crazy few days in Red Sox land, obviously, but we're here to break it down, right?
Yeah, we're here to break it down. Before I get to that, I want to ask you one Patriots question, just because I know you're with Zoe and you're with Zolak and Bertrand, so the Pats are always on your mind. Your thoughts on the Pats right now? Open-ended question as they sit at 0-2.
It's been a rough couple of weeks. There's no doubt about that. And I think after week 1, a lot of people were, trying to be positive coming into that Monday where, all right, things were close. It's the Eagles, coming from a Super Bowl appearance last year, you held your own. I will say the kind of attitude overall today, a lot more down. I think people were hoping for a kind of statement moment against the Dolphins. And when it's coming down to the same thing again, where early mistakes are the reason you're trailing and you're still, one possession away from getting there, you try to hold on to hope, but let's be real. This has been the last couple of years of the Bill Belichick experience. So not too happy, but understanding this is kind of like post-Tom Brady.
Certainly is. All right, now let's move to the Red Sox, where I know that is your bread and butter. It's mine as well. Chaim Bloom fired last week. I guess first and foremost, were you surprised that it happened?
I don't think surprised. Maybe surprised is a better word. I wouldn't call it shocked. I know some people were absolutely floored. Now, if you ask me personally, I had Chaim Bloom getting one more year. I thought if you kind of looked at the overall picture here, what this year was in terms of it being a bridge year, where you were not going over the luxury tax, where, let's be real, for a majority of the season, they were going above the expectation for what they were supposed to be. Now things have fallen apart a little bit due to the Paxton injury. Now Tristan Casas out. You lost Jaron Duran last month. The equation kind of changed a lot. But I'd say, as someone who expected or, thought ownership was going to go that way, you can't sit here and say you didn't at least start to see the smoke. And it goes back to last year, where at the trade deadline, it was clear that there was a lot of unhappiness, not only in that clubhouse, but maybe coming from ownership. I know Jared had been pretty direct bringing that up at the time, but Sam Kennedy had acted very quickly back then, almost within, hours, saying Alex Cora and Chaim Bloom were going to be back. You go to that offseason, that June Lee report, which at the time was kind of framing how negotiations went with Xander Bogaerts, what had happened with Rafael Devers before he signed his extension. There was a very big piece of info in there, and it was that there was a fear that Chaim Bloom wasn't decisive enough, that there were points where he'd almost kind of go back and forth and, maybe asking too many people in the room. He was kind of willing to strike that deal or jump on something, bend his principles. Because as we saw, if there was one thing you could say Chaim Bloom was always consistent about, was how he viewed long-term sustainability and how you would get there. Now, You look the last couple of days, that same smoke is what ultimately led to Bloom being kicked out of Boston, right? Where, the Chris Sale report from Rob Bradford talking about there was a deal where you could have offloaded that contract. Time ultimately didn't make the deal because he didn't like the return. We all sit here and say, well, you could have got Chris Sale's contract off the books. The biggest flaw of 2022, and I was super hard when it came to Chaim Bloom in 2022 because he couldn't get under the luxury tax. And that ultimately shaped the entire perspective for this season, how they went about it that off season. And that's just what it is here. I think the ownership was looking for someone who was willing to kind of put their foot down, be a bit more aggressive, especially going into an off season where the Boston Red Sox have to be the alpha. They have a young core and they have prospects to deal from. That's a big difference between going into 2022 where, the prospects you had were the young core that you were hoping would kind of formulate. You now have both of those. But if you want to get on Yamamoto this offseason, if you want to get on Aaron Nola and really push this team into a championship window, you can't be indecisive. And Chris Castillo had a very important note that the contract Bloom handed out to Trevor Story and Masataka Yoshida were tough on him. He continued, even after giving them out, beating himself up, questioning whether it was the right thing to do or if he had sorted the money the right way. Well, that's a scary thing to go into an offseason like this and hope he makes the right decisions because the moves and contracts they sign right now are going to define the next era of Red Sox baseball.
One of the things that's frustrating for me, and I said this last week too, is that, and I thought this from the start, and I said this years ago, and I guess 2021 kind of made me back off of it because they got to the ALCS. It is impossible, I think, to try to play for the future and play for the now all at the same time, right? The Red Sox ended up being good at both and not great at either. They have a better farm system, but they're not a top 5 farm system. They've been a team that's been around the playoffs, but they haven't ultimately gotten there enough. Do you wish the Red Sox would have just stripped it down for 3 years and punted essentially and then gone all in like the way, I look at a team like the Mariners did, like Toronto's did, like the White Sox did?
I think it's easy to say that, but when you're talking about a market like Boston, there is something to the level of, hey, we're not going to spend, a $70, $80 million payroll or even less in some of those cases just to skirt by for a year or two or how things happen. I think that's where you can look at something like 2021, where, in my opinion, say what you will about the Mookie Betts trade. I think in the grand scheme, we can all say it was a mistake, but the position they were in, where the lack of prospects they had, where everyone wants to talk about, well, these are Dave Dombrowski's guys. The reality was when 2019 wrapped up, these guys were seeds. They had not blossomed. They were not assets you could easily trade off of. When you have, another $30 million you were planning to give the Mookie Betts for the last year, of team control at that point before the deal, plus David Price's contract, Chris Sale's money, Nate Eovaldi's money, there wasn't a lot of flexibility, but I still think 2021 spoke to this was possible. You could do it. Now, you did get into the playoffs on the last day of the season, right? So it wasn't like you sat there and you dominated the whole year. I think there was a way to kind of walk that line and make it happen. Just to me, you got to also move in that sense and have at least the understanding, in my opinion, that, yeah, it's probably going to be some ups and downs like we've seen. That's why I would have given Chaim Bloom that extra year. I think it really just comes down to, did they view Bloom as a guy who can make those hard decisions, that he was willing to pull the trigger when he needed to? I don't think they did. And I think even the biggest Bloom guys is someone who, I pushed Chaim Bloom as hard as anyone in 2021. 2022 really turned me off. I think 2023, for the most part, he met expectations. He hit on a lot of his signings. Even if you disagree with how he goes about things, the truth is they just didn't trust him to make the major moves. I hope with their hire, they doubled down on that. If you're going to fire a guy for that reason, you better go get someone with experience that kind of speaks to that. And that doesn't even include the relationship with Bloom and Corey either, which I do think is a slice of the pie.
Tyler Miliken with us here from 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. Also the Name Redacted podcast, talking about all things Red Sox. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. One of the things that frustrates me is that Red Sox ownership never seems to be committed to a plan. It seems like they put a guy in place, he does what they want, and then they can him anyways, right? We saw it with Ben Cherington, build up the farm system. He doesn't get to see the end of the plan. Dombrowski comes in, goes the opposite way, is told to spend, and win, does that, and then he gets told he's spent too much and there's no prospects and he's gone. Bloom has to come in and do the same thing Cherington did, sees the same fate. It just seems like there's always this expiration date on whoever gets this job. How attractive is it, do you think, for somebody given that history?
I think it's a very real conversation. I think some people who don't want to have it and just say, oh, it's the Boston Red Sox, you're walking in, especially in this spot, right? You look at what Chaim Bloom walked into. extreme financial restrictions, having to deal Mookie Betts, and not much to deal from the farm, so you can't offload money in a super easy way. Well, this time around, you are walking into just about anything someone could ask for from a, an asset standpoint. Prospects to deal, a young core, and a ownership group, at least for now. Now, this is where this all comes in, but at least for now, they're willing to spend and seemingly trying to prove a point that they're still the Boston Red Sox. I think where this is going to hurt them is that they're looking for some of the long-term guys. Chris Antonetti, a personal favorite of mine when we're talking about names that could be available. He's the president of baseball operations in Cleveland, has been with Terry Francona for a long time over there. I think someone like him who has security, that knows where they stand and how all of this plays out, it's very hard to imagine him saying, all right, I'm going to go to Boston where even if I go win a World Series like Dave Dombrowski, it may not be enough for me to kind of stick here and have this long-term thing. I think where you'll see some of the interest continue to fall through are guys that fit into that Bloom category, right? Where Brandon Gomes, the GM with the Dodgers, he's someone who has that player relationship, maybe matches with Cora a little bit better, but he's a first-time, guy looking to lead a front office. There's only 30 jobs. And say what you will, to have all these things here that are at your disposal, that's pretty hard to turn down. There's not going to be a lot of guys that can say that. I think you're really looking at the more experienced voices that are going to sit back and say, I'm good. Maybe even a Brian Sabian on the other end. I believe he's 67 years old. If they're looking for more of an old school personality, maybe it works for him because he can say, well, if they throw me away in 4 years, whatever. I'm going to be retired. I can do my thing. I think it's going to be those kind of ends of the spectrum where they're going to work at.
What do you make of the idea that Cora could be the guy for that position? Buster Olney put it out. Buster's on our show every single week. We're going to ask him about that on Thursday. And I can go both ways on this. I think that Cora probably wants to still manage at this point. But you know as well as I do, if another guy comes in and he gets saddled with Cora and Cora's not his hire, there can be instant friction there. If Cora goes to the front office, maybe he can overcome what we just talked about because he does seem to have the backing of ownership and might have a longer leash. I think it could be better for his job security to go to the front office. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think the way when I was kind of talking about it with some friends the last couple of days, as we put it, Chaim Bloom worked for the Red Sox. Al Score is part of the family.
Yeah.
That's what it really
Good
is
point.
at this standpoint. And when you talk about how this thing played out between Bloom and Cora, I know Cora speaks as to not knowing what was going on. He clearly knew how this was going to play out because a major part of the reason for the firing, if you kind of read between the lines here, is that they didn't always see eye to eye. There was a report from Chris Cotillo just saying, hey, they wanted Carlos Santana a year ago before he got dealt. When the Red Sox were badly needing first base help, they never got it. And I think some of the comments you've seen from Xander Bogaerts a year ago, even, going back to 2021 and some of the disappointment you saw then, they continue to emphasize, we're not super happy. This isn't how we kind of envisioned the deadline. And then you saw the team fall. I often saw that as Al Score speaking through his players. And he was never going to be the guy to go out and say it, but he was going to make it clear when things weren't, working in his light or they weren't following the orders or the hopes of the coaching staff. I think Cora still wants to remain in the dugout in a perfect world with maybe a move to the front office later. And I think the way I would kind of look at it this offseason is if they can't find the perfect match, do they move someone like Eddie Romero into that GM spot for a year? Cora stays in the dugout and they work very heavily together. I still think a full-time move is unlikely, at least the way I would frame it. But I could see something along those lines. If they don't find the perfect candidate, all right, well, Cora's going to have a heavier hand in all of this. Work alongside a guy in Eddie Romero who he's very close with, and then they'll kind of kick it down the road, similar to how the Mets did with Billy Epler and David Stearns, a year ago.
Tyler, get you out of here on this. A lot of injuries at this point of the year. You mentioned Duran, Casas out now for the rest of the year. Your number one thing you want to see from the Red Sox here these final 2 weeks?
Please play the kids. And I know on Saturday, even Sunday, you may say with the Wilyer Abreu walk-off play in center field, but Don Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, get these guys on the field as much as possible here. It's hard not to watch someone like Tristan Casas and get that excitement because it's one of the main reasons to watch. Same as Brian Bayo. But those two guys, Wilyer Abreu and Ceddanne Rafaela, auditioning for a role on the 2024 team or as trade chips this offseason, both are important. And I think you can look at someone like Abreu and say, wow, he's opening a lot of eyes. Personally, I'm kind of looking at things. I'm already placing him ahead of Alex Verdugo, considering some of the stuff we've seen pop up over this season. Some of the drama, now his guy in Chaim Bloom leaving that front office. I think Red Sox fans should be watching them and hoping they're a big reason one way or the other that the Red Sox are a lot better a year from now.
Tyler Miliken, 98.5 The Sports Hub, Zolak and Bertrand there in Boston. Also the Name Redacted podcast, Jared Carabas alongside him there, Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And one of the best Red Sox follows out there on social media. Tyler, man, appreciate you taking some time on this Monday, and we'll catch up down the road and into the off season.
Of course, Brady. It's always a blast.
Always a blast for sure. Tyler Miliken there from 98.5 The Sports Hub. A lot of good stuff there. What I want to do now is I want to go and have Danny and I edit that interview, cut it up, and then tomorrow I want to use some of it because there's a lot of interesting things there that Tyler said that really need more examination. I do think what he just said at the end there about kind of what the impact on Verdugo is now that Bloom is not there. I've said all along I thought that Verdugo was going to get traded. Is he more or less likely to get traded now that Chaim Bloom is gone? I think Tyler's right, probably more. And I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point that Verdugo is not going to be here in 2024. Also, the stuff about Bloom not wanting to pull the trigger, that was very interesting. That was not something that I had heard until Tyler said it, but also I read a story earlier today from Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic that said the same thing, essentially. So we will talk about that as well. We'll do all of that tomorrow. Danny and I will cut everything up. For now, we've got a Red Sox game tonight coming up about 15 minutes from now with the pregame show. 8:05 is the first pitch. Red Sox taking on the Texas Rangers. We will get you the Red Sox lineup, so we'll do it next here on DEV.
Find a rewarding career at the Gary Residence, a new state-of-the-art residential care home purposefully designed for the nurture and care of those living with memory loss.
It's a really great environment to work in, and it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
The Gary Residence is currently looking for experienced LPNs, med techs, and resident service assistants to join the memory care team. Learn more and apply at thegaryresidence.com.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
Tracy Schamberger describes her experience advertising with WDEV.
When WDEV presented Age Well with an opportunity to co-present a weekly live interview, we jumped at the opportunity. We see a direct increase in calls to our helpline because of our spot on WDEV, which is exactly what we had hoped for. We have experienced incredible results.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
This is Freddie Coleman of ESPN, and you're listening to Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV at WDEVradio.com.
Got people texting us, wow, pretty jarring stuff. Did Chaim Bloom really have a chance to get out from under the Chris Sale deal? We'll talk about that tomorrow, too. I heard that just recently, just a couple of days ago from Rob Bradford. That's what Tyler was referencing. It sounds like, yeah, Bloom did have a chance to get out from the Sale money, more than $50 million, and elected not to take it. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. For now, we do have a Red Sox game coming up against the Texas Rangers. Danny, to the music. Rangers are 82-67. So the Rangers are second place right now in the AL West. They still have designs on winning the AL West. They are also, though, right now in third place in the AL wildcard picture for the, in the third place in the AL wildcard race, are one game ahead of Seattle. So there's a lot going on for Texas. This series means a lot to them. The Red Sox are 74-76. Cutter Crawford pitches for Boston. He's 6-7 with a 4.26. Jordan Montgomery gets the ball for Texas. He's 9-11 with a 3.47. As for the Sox, Cedon Rafaela, he leads off in center. Rafi Devers is the third AL Player of the Week. Rafael Devers. Rob Refsnyder is in left field and bats third. Adam Duvall is in right and it's cleanup. Pablo Reyes is in the 5 spot today at shortstop. Trevor Story is the DH. He bats 6th. Bobby Dahlbeck's at first. Remember, he's up for Casas. Luis Arias is at second, and he bats 8th. And Connor Wong is the catcher, and he bats 9th. Texas is one of the most powerful lineups in all of baseball. They've generally been rolling lately, but they did lose a couple over the weekend. I think they got swept by Cleveland, but they had just swept Toronto for 4. Marcus Semien leads off at second. Corey Seager, who's going to get some AL MVP votes. Heck, I think Ohtani's going to win it, but Seager's going to get some for sure. He's at short, hitting .337 with 31 and 92. Nathaniel Lowe, he is at first, or Nathaniel Lowe, excuse me, he is at first. Mitch Garber, the backup catcher, is the DH. Josh Young is back from the injured list. He's been out for several weeks. He is at third. Robbie Grossman, the veteran outfielder, is in right. Jonah Heim, the all-star, is the catcher. He bats 7th. Leody Taveras, the speedster, is the center fielder. He bats 8th. And then the youngster, the prospect, top prospect in the Rangers organization, Evan Carter, he is the 9 hitter, and he is in the outfield as well. He's up for Adolis Garcia, who's on the injured list. Full show podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com as soon as the show ends. The Tyler Miliken interview is already up. Thanks to Danny for getting that going. Thanks to Danny, as always, for producing and engineering the show. Thanks to you on the text line. Sox Baseball's next on DEV.
Free, 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 free. Coffee, 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 coffee.